Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Veronia, and in today's video we are going to be doing a mix of our budget results and also our budget update. Now, if you are subscribed to my channel, this is a little bit different compared to how I would do my budget updates before, and that's just because I changed my YouTube uploading schedule and I have a video which explains all of that in much more detail, so make sure you do check that out. I will link it in the description below for you. But for this video, what we're going to be doing is just having a quick look at our budget results for the previous month, and then I'm also going to be looking at our budget for the month of April as well. So pretty much doing two in one in this video. So without further ado, let's just get started. So first up, let's have a look at how we did in the month of April, and I'm not going to dwell too much on that because I want to focus more on our budget update for May. But in terms of how we actually record our budget, we do use my monthly budget template. So if this is something that you like the look of, you can definitely purchase it. You get a net worth statement, a sinking funds calculator, and then you have the choice between a monthly budget template or a weekly budget template depending on how you get paid. So make sure you do check that out if you haven't already. I will leave links in the description below for you. But in terms of April, I mean, nothing really changed when it came to our savings and investments, our essential bills, or our sinking funds. That pretty much all got paid out. So if you want to find out more about how we actually allocated money in our April budget, I do have that video already, so make sure you check that out. I will leave it up here for you and in the description below. But instead, let's have a quick deep dive on our spending category because I think that's probably the most interesting part. So for the month of April, when it comes to our spending category, the first thing we did is have a budget for petrol, and that was for £120. And so in terms of April, we actually ended up spending slightly less that month. We ended up spending £111, so about £9 under our original budget, which is great. Then when it came to groceries, so we had allocated about £190 towards groceries, and there were two reasons for that. The first reason was obviously because food prices were increasing, and so we really wanted to make sure our budget reflects that. So we used to spend around 30 for a week, but because of, you know, things getting more expensive, we therefore budgeted for 38 a week, and so that's what we allocated for this budget. And also for that month, we actually had to budget for 5 weeks instead of 4, just because of how Yinka gets paid, and so that meant that we had a budget of £190, which I was hoping we were going to stick to, and we actually ended up spending less this month. So in total, we ended up spending about £182 instead of £190, and so on average per week we were spending about 36 a week, which is great. I will say that this month we did go to like a family gathering, we had a birthday, and they also gave us some food to take home, which meant that we were able to have food for a couple of days, which was great. So I think realistically we would have spent the whole budget, to be honest, but obviously I'm proud that we were able to stick to the food budget anyway. And if you're liking this video so far, then feel free to give me a thumbs up, as it really does help to support the channel, plus I'm sure you know it's free. Then next up, when it came to toiletry, so with that we had a budget for £35, and we ended up spending £29 instead, so that was great. It meant we had some money left over. After that, when it came to our individual spending, I mean, I never know if Yinka's actually spent his money, but I know that I spent my full £100, so that was all good, and I think that's enough going forwards as well. And then next up, when it came to date night, we allocated £60 for that, and we ended up spending just slightly more. We ended up spending around £64 for date night, so not a crazy amount over. And then when it came to personal care, we allocated £44 for that. We did end up spending £44, which was all great. And then when it came to miscellaneous, we had a budget for £10, and we ended up spending £13 for miscellaneous. And then of course, in terms of my own gym membership, that is £21.99. that is a direct debit, so that was of course paid out. And then after, we had some money left over to put towards our pennies jar, which is something that we pretty much do every single month anyway, so no change there. So in total, that meant I think we had around £16 left over after that, and I think we just allocated that towards our pennies jar. Sometimes we will just spend it if we have money left over, or sometimes we'll just allocate it towards our pennies, so that any loose change that we get, we just add it into a little pot, and then hopefully that will grow over time. But yeah, glad to have stuck to our budget when it comes to April. But now let's have a quick look at what we're going to be doing when it comes to May. So when it comes to our May budget, there are a few changes, I would say, especially when it comes to our income and also our essential bills. So in terms of our income, again, the majority of our income was from my husband's salary, because I'm not currently working at the moment. That is actually going to change soon, but I will do a whole video on sort of my update since quitting my job and now thinking about what I want to do in the future, so stay tuned for that. But in terms of this month, month. Obviously, because of the national insurance changes in the UK, that did reflect on Yinka's salary as well. So we ended up getting less than usual, and so that's going to impact our budget. And then I did pull a couple of hundred from my business. At the moment, I am still reinvesting most of that money, so I can't pull too much money out, but a couple of hundred is still quite useful. And then also we took some income from our sinking funds pot so that we can allocate the right sinking funds. So again, I'm going to talk about all of that later on in the video. So when it comes to savings and investments, you can see that there is a big fat zero, which I think this is probably the first time we haven't necessarily put any money into our savings and investments. So there's a couple of reasons for that. The first reason is obviously because of Yinka's income, which Yinka is my husband in case you don't know and you're new to my channel, but because of Yinka's salary being lower than before, that obviously has an impact in terms of how we're able to actually budget our money. And so we weren't able to put money into our savings and investment because, as I said, majority of the money that I make from my business, I pretty much invest it separately, and so I don't put it on this budget. But in terms of our own personal finances, it means that we weren't able to put any savings and investments for this month. I mean, since we've been married, this has never ever been blank, so it's kind of weird to see that. But obviously, because we're going through some changes, I'm not too surprised. But actually, over the next few months, things are going to be changing, and we are going to start putting money towards our savings and investments again. So this month is a little weird, but you know, it's still okay, especially considering that I did take a career break. I mean, I shouldn't really be surprised at all. This was expected, but it's just weird kind of seeing it in real life, if that makes sense. Then next up, when it comes to our essential bills, there are actually a few changes. So the first big change is our rent. So our rent has slightly increased. The landlord did offer to increase it by about 5%. To be honest, not too surprised at that. I was actually expecting that. And the fact that we actually got a discount from when we first got this place, to increase it by about £50 isn't bad. I actually thought it was going to be a lot more. So previously we were paying about £1,050 towards rent, but we're going to be paying £1,100 towards rent, and that's for the next 12 months. And then next up, when it comes to our water, so that has slightly decreased now. So I think before we were paying about £50, now we're going to be paying £47.83. Then with electricity and gas, that has remained the same, so we are currently paying about £62.86. And then with council tax, that has also decreased. So before we were paying £145, and I initially thought that was quite high, but it turns out that I think we were paying the right amount. It was just because of the time that we moved in, and so now it's gone down to £129, which is great. We also did get the council tax rebate, but what we've done is we've just taken that and just put it into a separate pot because I'm not really sure what we plan to do with it. I think we're going to wait till winter to see what our electricity and gas bill is like, and then hopefully we'll be able to just use that money for that. So that is pretty much all separate for now, but going forwards we're going to be paying £129, which I'm definitely happy with. And then also when it comes to broadband, it has slightly increased. So before I think we were paying about £29, we are going to be paying £32.62, which again I'm not too surprised at, and is okay. And then after that we allocate £1.58 towards iCloud, and then we also have our SIM contract deals. So for Yinka's phone it is £12 a month, and then for my phone it is £10 a month. And if you ever want to find out what SIM contract we're using, especially if you are in the UK, we use something called Voxy. For me, I really enjoy it because you do get endless social media data. So if you're ever looking for a SIM contract deal, definitely check my link in the description below for Voxy. And then of course after that we had our tithes, charity and giving. That is still something that we still do. Even if we don't put money towards our savings, we will still allocate a percentage that goes towards our giving regardless, and so that has still been allocated on our budget. Then moving over to sinking funds, so we have a few areas that we're looking at. The first one is car maintenance, so we allocated 150 to that. Then we allocated another 10 to the dentist because we're probably going to be thinking about going to the dentist in the next 6 months, so I want to start putting money towards that. After that we've got Yinka's rugby, so we've got £10 going towards that, another £20 going towards presents. So if we've got any family members who have birthdays or anything like that, we've got money set aside for that. And then also another £10 going towards skincare, and so in total that comes to £200. And then after, let's move over to our spending category. So with petrol, again we have allocated £120 for that, and that seems to be quite consistent, so I think we're going to stick with that amount. When it comes to groceries, we have allocated £152 for the month, and so this is going to be for 4 weeks this time, and so we've allocated about £38 on average a week we think we're going to spend, so allocated 152 for groceries. Then after, when it comes to toiletries, we have allocated another 35 towards that, because I think on average we tend to spend around 30, so I think 35 should be good in case things start to increase. And then when it comes to our personal spending, again, we have allocated £100 each, so hopefully that should all be good during the month of May. And then when it comes to date night, we have also allocated £80, so slightly more than last month, but because it's actually Yinka's birthday this month, I think we'll probably be going out a bit more often, so we have allocated 80 towards date night. And then when it comes to personal care, it's another 44 allocated towards that. And then with miscellaneous, we have £12 allocated to that. My gym membership is also going to be £21.99, which is all good. And then after that, we had about 22 pence, so we've decided to just allocate that towards our pennies jar. So in terms of our total spending, we're looking at about £665.21. So I'm pretty happy with this budget. I think it will be quite similar to last month maybe, but of course we will see. And next month I will talk about all of the results. But if you do need support when it comes to actually sticking to your budget, or even just really creating a budget so you can be able to save or invest or reach any of your financial goals, then of course you can check out my one-to-one coaching program. So if you are interested, you can book a free interest call with me. I'll link more information up here for you and in the description below. So if you did like this video, then please do give me a thumbs up if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments, how did your budget go for April, and have you set your budget for May yet? I do post every Tuesday, so if you would like to know more, then of course you can subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next Tuesday.